Welcome to the Leadership in Yoga podcast, hosted by me, Shawna Krueger. And on this podcast, I'll be bringing you interviews with exceptional leaders in the yoga world alongside trainings and tips so you can experience true breakthroughs and help others do the same. Leadership in Yoga fam, I may have shed a few tears of joy in being able to bring you this interview today. It is so packed with wisdom. It is packed with humor and stories that are really, really interesting. So I hope that you enjoy. David Swenson is someone who really needs no introduction if you are in the Ashtanga world. If you are not into Ashtanga Yoga yet, he is someone who has been recognized today as one of the world's foremost practitioners and instructors of Ashtanga Yoga. He has produced a wide selection of videos, posters, and other yoga resources, including the highly popular book, Ashtanga Yoga, the Practice Manual. If you are here and if you are listening, if you could do me a favor really quick before we get started and actually do this, it's so helpful to be able to bring you interviews just like this one, to hit subscribe and also to drop me a rating. If you can and you enjoy this episode and you can share it as well, that would be absolutely wonderful. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So I always like to start my in-person interviews with a deep breath just to settle.
Sounds good, yeah.
David Swenson, welcome to the Leadership in Yoga podcast. Thank you for being here.
I'm so happy to be here, Shawna. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Meeting you in person has to have been one of the most interesting experiences for me because before I met you at your workshop, you were somebody who literally existed inside of my textbook for me. And it's interesting inside of the Ashtanga Yoga Practice Manual. And so I spent all this time studying this obsessively, and creating, I guess, sort of a character in my mind and imagining how you would be. And of course, I'd seen videos and heard stories from people, but the most beautiful thing about it is that after seeing all of the alien postures and the extremeness of the initial exposure that I ever had to Ashtanga was when I ordered your book. And I remember opening it up. After all of that, meeting you in person was interesting because I realized that what I had sort of created in my head, you were not what I was expecting. You were interesting in the sense that you have what I like to call like the happy eyes or the kind eyes. I can even see it right now. It's this nice glow and it's 0% intimidation. It's just a happiness and a lightness about you and a sense of humor that really blew me away. So yeah, it's truly an honor to be able to have this conversation with you today.
It's great to be here. And rarely does our perception of someone fit the actual experience, right? Because we build something in our mind. And I remember I had a host for a workshop or something. They had never met me in person. They greeted me at the airport and they saw me and they smiled and they said, "Oh." I said, "Oh." They looked a little disappointed. They said, "I thought you'd be much bigger." I said, "That's the low camera angles, they're shooting up and I'm from Texas and there's never anybody standing by me." So there's that too. There's an expectation I was going to be this big person. Nope, this is it.
Yeah, you do look pretty tall, I would say, in the photos as well. But I feel like you're pretty average in that sense. I didn't feel, the thing that struck me again was just what you expect. And sometimes when people are newer to Ashtanga like myself, I consider myself very new. And so I'm excited to talk about Ashtanga Yoga. But more than even talking about the practice, what I really want us to get into today is you and your story and, how this practice essentially shaped your outlook on life and your entire life. So if you're tuning in today, that's really what you're in store for. And of course, we'll talk about your new book, which is coming in March as well.
Yes.
March, correct?
That's right. March, April.
Yeah, somewhere.
It's, fluid at the moment, but that's the plan.
Beautiful. So we'll start with more of your relationship with the practice, and then we'll move into your teaching of the practice and kind of move through it. But I am really glad that before taking your workshop, I threw in last minute a notebook, and I don't know why I didn't think about, doing that beforehand. But what I wrote down was basically 2 full pages of questions that I had from you and little pieces of things that I picked up. And right now, to start us off, I want to take us to a moment that is quite different, quite far away from this current moment where we're at in Austin, Texas. And it was a moment that you described that you were practicing in the park, I believe, with your brother, Doug,
yes,
right?
That's right.
And maybe a small group. And
no, it was just the two of us.
Two of you, and the police showed up.
That's right.
And they were there to investigate, quote unquote, some devil's work or something like that. Well,
it's hard to fathom at this moment in time with yoga just permeating every fabric of society, right? But at that time, 1969, it was strange, especially in Texas. So, and there weren't yoga studios. My brother and I had some books, a couple of books, one of which was called Yoga, Youth, and Reincarnation by Jess Stern, and a couple of other books. We'd go to the park, open the books, get under a tree, and just try to emulate what we saw and read in the books. And the yoga attire at the time was either a Speedo bathing suit or karate pants. That was the 2 options, yeah. And I think we might have been in Speedos that day. So, and we had long hair, which was part of the journey, right? And just the whole idea and feeling of yoga and expressing yourself and freedom and so forth. So we're doing our yoga. Police car pulled up into the park over the curb, pulled their guns out, aimed at us. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And we stood there in our little underwear, hands overhead. What are you boys doing out here?
No.
We're breathing and stretching, officer. Well, the neighbors called, said you're doing some kind of devil worship out here. Because it was so foreign to the locals, right? Just the neighbors there. These long hair boys under a tree doing what looked like some sort of strange, idol worship thing or something, so they called the police. That was the environment, right? It was strange to do yoga
and can you believe, if you would have been able to know at that point in time that we'd be sitting here today, still in Texas, and everybody knows yoga. Most everybody knows of yoga, even if they haven't taken a class. They know what it is if you say.
Oh, it's on every TV commercial. Yeah. People sat on the hood of a new car, in lotus position or whatever. Yeah,
would you have ever believed the mainstream nature of the yoga?
It would have been impossible to fathom that. And what's interesting is it still would not have changed my approach to it. I still would have kept doing it. It would have just been easier. So we didn't. Then we just moved to another part of the park and did our thing, right? But yeah.
At that point in time, too, what do you think your reaction would have been to just knowing that, okay, this is something that you were going to dedicate your life to? Did you have any idea in that moment that it would play such a big role?
I think it's better that we didn't know anything because that would have changed it. There's a power to innocence, right? To just going without any thought or plan or condition, right? We did the practice. We felt good. We do it again tomorrow. It was something we integrated into our life. There was no thought even of teaching yoga.
Yeah.
So it was just something that we did. And I think that there's a freedom in that because then your expectations are just, I'm experiencing something right now. It doesn't have to be recognized by others. Yeah, maybe it becomes popular, maybe not. And so...
No expectations, essentially, is what I'm hearing.
No expectations, yeah.
Except for expectations from the neighbors to know what's going on. It's like they're putting men on the moon. They're practicing in Speedos with long hair. It's a crazy year.
It's a crazy year. Yeah, what's happening here?
So you were 13 when you started yoga.
That's right.
Okay. So what is it like to not know life really without yoga? Because unless you took any sort of extended break, which I don't know.
Well, you're right. Yoga has been an integral part since those early days, but it was just something I did. But because it wasn't something I taught or you couldn't make a living teaching yoga, I've done all other jobs. So yoga was something I did, and the other parts of my life were, I was a waiter and did landscaping and other things to make a living. So that would probably be the same. However, the lens through which I view the world is different because of those lenses of yoga through which I was viewing it and the feeling I had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's hard to say what it would be like. I believe that it's a tool that has given me some sort of confidence or inner strength, if you will, that allowed me to be different and strange and to carry on, but the yoga made me feel good.
Yeah.
I give credit to my parents as well, though. I've got to bring them into the conversation. But it was because of them that these qualities I just described were instilled into us as a positive thing. We could be independent-minded. We could be free-thinking. They were very open-minded and liberal. They wanted us to be happy. They wanted us to be able to support ourselves. But beyond that, we were able to pursue our heart and feeling and dreams. And so I give a lot of credit to them, not only the yoga.
That's really beautiful. Yeah, I know what you mean, because then you were open to it and you were willing to see, okay, what does this hold for me? Like, I'm feeling drawn to it, and you felt supported in that, which is a really, really beautiful thing. So you were also as well working all these other jobs. What would you say was your favorite out of any of the other?
My favorite job?
Yeah.
You know, I like to be outdoors, so landscaping and things like that were fun. But at the time, it wasn't, I did what I had to do to pay the bills. I'll wash dishes, I'll dig a ditch, I'll clean toilets, that might be a Southern work ethic thing I've got instilled in me as well. I'm not shy to work. If I got to pay my rent, I'm not going to go, oh, I don't want to do that. I just get in there and throw myself into it. And I always found a way to find some sort of joy or interaction with other people that kept it fun. Yeah. But digging and planting things was fulfilling. Still is. I like to do that.
And I understand, too, that you would often work until, I think you said it was like the 4-8 rule, like when you had 4 digits in your bank account,
if we got 4 digits in our bank account, which is $1,000, we were gone for like 6 months or 8 months. And that was traveling to Mexico and Central America because we could live cheaply, right?
Yeah.
Keep in mind, gas was, I don't know, 17 cents a gallon, 20 cents a gallon. You could fill your tank with a pocket full of change. Yeah. And so we like to travel and experience things, so we did a lot of that. Work hard and then go and travel and surf and explore the world and then come back.
Yeah. I want us to talk definitely more about that as well. But before we get, too far ahead into the years in which you start traveling, you start also teaching and all of that, I also understand that you were here the first time that Pattabhi Jois came to the U.S., right?
Yes.
And you were there when he arrived.
That's right.
Okay.
Here not being Texas, but here the United States.
The US.
In the U.S., yes.
And
I was in Southern California. And part of my story is I left Texas when I was 16 and went to Southern California and ended up out there my last year of school, et cetera. I met David Williams and Nancy Gogoff. Now, a brief history of Ashtanga.
Please, we're here for it.
Okay, so David Williams and Nancy Gogoff were my first teachers. Now, David was just an American hippie, and he heard about yoga. And then at that time, there weren't really teachers in the U.S., so he did a little research, and, well, the yogis are in India. That's all they knew is yogis are in India. They didn't know anything about a specific place other than things you would read about. So the way that hippies would go to India from the U.S. is they would fly to Europe and then hitchhike. Wow. Or ride trucks and buses overland all the way to India. And all they knew is the country of India is where the yogis were. So he did that, and he ran into another American guy named Norman Allen, who was also, they're seekers, right? They're looking for the meaning of life, or just deeper meaning. If you look in America at that time, there was a burgeoning interest among hippies and the young people looking for something different than what their parents and previous generations had valued, right? So he went to India, in his own words, like a detective, yeah? And they traveled around, and they would sleep in ashrams because it was cheap and safe, and you could have good food and so forth. And they were in the Gitananda ashram in India, And this young man came and did a yoga demonstration, blew their mind. They had never seen anything like that.
Did they know who the young man was?
Well, they approached him and said, wow, we've never seen anything like this before in our life. This is phenomenal. Who are you? What is that? Where did you learn? He goes, oh, my name's Manju. Where did you learn this? From my dad. Who's your dad? Pattabhi Jois. Where is he? Mysore, India. Pattabhi Jois' son, Manju. And he was always been a free spirit. He was traveling around India, and he'd do a demo here and there. And so they saw this guy. Now, David's visa was about to expire, so he couldn't go to Mysore. So Norman went first. And David gives him credit for sort of opening the door, you know, breaking the ice. Because initially it was that classic story of Pattabhi Jois wouldn't teach him.
Yeah.
So he just kept showing up every day on the doorstep until finally he was like, this hippie won't go away. So he started teaching him.
Fine.
David went back to America, got some money together, and got his visa and came back, and boom, he was there in Mysore. So then he came back to the U.S., and I met him shortly after that, in Southern California. And so he had learned about Ashtanga and came back and was sharing it. And there was a core group of people in Encinitas, California. And I walked into class one day. My friend had told me about it, and that's when I first saw an Ashtanga class that just blew my mind.
It's crazy the number of things that had to fall into place for that to happen and for all of you to be involved. I mean, Manju being in that particular ashram, in the whole entire country of India. And as you said, just to go to know the yogis are in India and to not have a specific direction or idea is it's quite a wild version of seeking that's quite admirable.
Well, you know that ultimately every instance required untold numbers of things to align. Even the fact that we're sitting here right now.
Yes.
You look back on all the stuff that had to happen and the little choices we made that put us in a particular place at a certain time and interacting.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you look at what those seekers had to do, would so many people be doing yoga if that's what you had to do?
No.
To even find it, right? Like now, even get to India, you can take a couple plane rides from here and you're there. It's like time travel. Yeah. So yes, you know, hats off and bow down to all those people that had to go through so much.
Totally.
So that we have this ease of it.
Yeah. Well, we got to talk about discipline later on as well, because I think that's a key theme here within the practice and also in terms of, wow, what our discipline today is a lot different than what that looked like. But take me to the moment that you're getting exposed to this form of Ashtanga yoga. What did you think about it? You know, when did you realize this is something special?
Well, the yoga we did before, as I said, was from books. Now, maybe your listeners do or do not know what a vinyasa is, but it's this connection of breath and movement where you're flowing. It's a more dynamic way of doing yoga. Prior to Ashtanga coming to the West, there was no such thing. So yoga, I don't know exactly the word, passive, softer. Yeah, you would do a posture and they would just go to the next posture and you would hold it, and there wasn't a big focus on ujjayi breathing, this breath with sound and so forth. So my first visceral experience of stepping into that room was the sound of the breathing.
Yeah.
I thought the walls were breathing. I was, wow, what is this? It was Southern California, but it was chilly in the morning. There was no heat in this room. And people were moving and flowing and jumping around and standing on their hands, sweat dripping from their body without the room being hot.
Yeah.
And the way that the morning light came through the window, bouncing off these glistening bodies, I saw steam rising from their skin.
Wow.
And I was just, whoa, what is this? And now David Williams, he's from North Carolina. He has this Southern accent like that. And I see him and this other woman, they're obviously the teachers because they're going around and they're assisting people, physically moving their bodies and stuff. And the woman has this long black braid all the way to her waist. So when she walks, the braid sort of sways, almost like an equine quality. Yeah? And the young man, long hair and a beard, which everybody kind of had at that time, they're older than me. Maybe they're in their 20s. I'm 16. And he's lithe and lean like a cat. Mm-hmm. And he walks up and he goes, "Hi, who are you?" I say, "My name's David." "Oh, hi, David. I'm David." It's David Williams. And he teaches me the first sun salutation, Surya Namaskara A, and the second one, Surya Namaskara B. I do those. He shows me the final 3 postures, mm-hmm. which are in lotus or not, whatever you can do, and talks to me about a special kind of breathing and these bandhas, energy. And it was like 10 or 15 minutes. He says, "All right, lie down, take rest, come back tomorrow." I lay down and I just glance at my body and I see steam rising. And I'm like, whoa, what is this, man? I want more.
Uh-huh. So you went home that day just fired up, basically in love.
You know what? It wasn't only the practice, though.
Yeah.
It was the people.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was like I was just welcomed into some kind of a tribe.
Uh-huh.
We were friends. We hung out together. We were like-minded. We'd go to the beach together. We surfed. We hung out. And so it was coming from the very, not repressive, but limited environment in Houston, Texas, mm-hmm. to California was just like, wow. And so it was a combination of all of these things, this convergence, mm-hmm. of all of this stuff that came into play. And so, the yoga, I felt something in my body also I'd never felt before. Mm-hmm. And then it was just amplified by the experience of the people.
That's super beautiful.
We're still friends to this day.
I love that. Yes, that's the best part of it. I love that you can paint us that picture and take us there with you. That's really special. What about the journey from then on? When did you start to say, okay, I want to learn the sequence to mastery? Or was it never really a goal of yours to be one of the Westerners who was able to master it? It just sort of happened.
To be honest with you, it was just fun. I don't even think it was a discipline.
Yeah.
Because I had so much fun doing it. Nobody had to tell me to do that. I like to surf also. Mm-hmm. No one had to tell me to go out there and paddle out into that salty ocean and chase waves for hours at a time. Mm-hmm. I was just like, woo!
Yeah.
And the yoga felt like that. I described myself like a Labrador dog. When you've got that tennis ball all covered with slobber from the dog, you don't have to tell them to chase it. You just keep throwing, and they'll just, and I was like that, like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... And because there are these sequences, you can see this progress in a very real way. Mm-hmm. I've done some martial arts in my life, and I remember you learn the basic katas, the basic forms, and you get more intricate, etc. Or like a musician, you learn Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and that was fun. And then you get something more complex, and it becomes, and then those notes are flowing out of you, and you're hearing the music, and it felt like that. Like I felt my body changing. I felt a physical strength I had not felt before, but something else was growing.
Yeah.
And so when I practiced it, I felt like I'm pouring water on this thing. Mm-hmm. And so I'd practice more, and this thing just kept growing inside of me. And it was just something I loved. It's like that person that discovers dance, or that musician that discovers that thing, or the science-oriented person that looks up at a star and all of a sudden they're like, wow. So it was like that.
Yeah, it just lit you up for sure.
No one had to tell me to do it.
Do you feel like almost anybody could have that experience with yoga, or do you feel like yoga in that sense is not the same experience for everybody?
Everyone can have an experience with yoga, mm-hmm. but it'll be different because we're all unique.
Yeah.
And I say something else relating to your previous question. I felt as though I was come home. Mm. It felt familiar, even though I'd never seen it before. Mm-hmm. And so you look at children that sit in front of a piano, and all of a sudden they're just playing this music. Like, where does that come from?
Yeah.
Will everybody have that experience with a piano? No.
True.
Yeah. So yoga is a tool, just waiting for us to use it. And even that level of whoa that I first had with it, it doesn't last forever, right? But it's the good feeling that keeps us coming back to it. Mm-hmm. So everyone can gain the benefit of the tool of yoga. But it was, again, a confluence of things. my age, the people around me, this enthusiasm was something new, and so that, wow. But I felt it with surfing also. The exhilaration of paddling on this little board, and standing up, and the energy of the water. And water is not a fixed shape, right? So you've got this thing that's changing, and you're riding it, and this type of yoga felt a little like surfing through yoga postures, because it keeps changing, and you're moving and flowing. And so maybe there was that connection I felt between the two things or something.
Yeah, you're reminding me of that famous quote about how you can never step into the same stream twice. People ask a lot, how could you ever practice the same sequence over and over again? But it's
never the same. That's right.
It's never the same, just like the waves are never the same. Interesting.
But, I guess more specifically in responding to your question of can everyone have that experience? Well, you don't know till you try.
Yeah.
So talking about yoga is like talking about pizza. Someone's never had pizza, yeah? And you describe it, and you show them books and pictures of it, and you've got some kind of pizza in a hermetically sealed plexiglass thing, and you study the history of pizza. You could give 2 months of discussion like that, but it would be easier if you just brought in a box with a hot pizza pie in there and said, take a bite.
Take a bite.
You don't know, man. Just taste the yoga and see where it takes you.
See how it goes.
Maybe it'll be great. Maybe it'll be like, Maybe it'll be like, I like pizzas once a month. Or maybe you're like, I love pizza. I'll eat it every meal. It's up. You figure it out.
So in the moment that more and more people are starting to take a bite of this practice, it's becoming evident that this is a system and there are lots of people coming to learn. What was your feeling at that time? Because you were there in the early days, and then I assume you just watched the expansion and the evolution of it from there.
So are you speaking of the growth of yoga or the
growth of Ashtanga specifically, and people seeking out to learn what is the Ashtanga system?
Well, there's been an ebb and flow with it as well. In the beginning, 50 million years ago. No. So when I first learned this yoga, it was hippies doing yoga. And hippies were on the fringe of mainstream society, okay? So they were already doing weird stuff. Ashtanga was on the fringe of the fringe, because even other yoga people, if they saw me practice, they'd say, that's not yoga, and they become upset. You don't huff and puff and make that sound and sweat and move. That's not yoga at all. So even we were on the fringe of the fringe of the fringe of society, right? And so it wasn't a popular thing, but it felt good, right? So what happened with yoga is what happens with a lot of things that become popular. Some well-known people or celebrities start doing it. So what really catapulted Ashtanga forward was Madonna, Sting, Paul Simon, John McEnroe, all these like well-known people started doing it. And they're on talk shows and talking about yoga.
Yeah. And it's true. I literally remember Googling what is Ashtanga Yoga, and I see a practice that Madonna speaks highly of. I remember it. And
That's
I was
right.
like, oh, well, it's worth another glance. It's so hilarious how
people are calling yoga studios saying, I want arms like Madonna. What's Madonna do? I want Madonna arms. And so it propelled it into people's psyche that this is something we want. If they're doing it, it must be cool.
Yeah.
And that happened with guys wearing earrings. It wasn't cool until some big NFL football players are wearing earrings. Then it's cool for guys to wear earrings. It happens with hairstyles, with clothes.
Yeah, who sets the trend?
Yes. So it just so happens that Ashtanga at that moment was being talked about by celebrities and well-known. So that made it more interesting.
And there's also this video that I've seen many times. It's the filmed primary series. And you were not in that video. Why, can I ask you why you were not in that video?
I wasn't part of the strict Ashtanga scene.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's part of a bigger story, which I don't even know if we have time for this podcast. But
I would love to hear a piece of the story if you feel that we can hear a piece of it, because I often wonder that.
It's just hard to give like the cliff notes of it.
Sure.
So we heard about when I bumped into Ashtanga. It was 1973, 1974 when I was in Southern California. Then Pattabhi Jois came with his son in 1975, hosted by David Williams and Nancy Gogoff. Great. So I was there for that. Then they left. My brother was always forward-thinking. So I give him credit for introducing me just to the concept of yoga. He's 5 years older, and so he was doing healthy things. I was lucky. Yeah.
That's really sweet.
So he also wanted to make a surfing yoga movie. Yeah. It's two things we loved. So we just, let's make a surf movie. And, just without going into too much detail, most surf movies at the time, and there was a market for them. They were small affairs. They would be shown on university campuses or American Legion Hall that was rented by somebody, and all the surfers and whatever would come and watch it, whatever. So that standard surf movie was surf, people surfing, girls in bikinis, and rock and roll music. That's the theme, and surfers that's all they really, that was our expectation. Yeah. Well, we wanted to make a movie with a message. So our movie was called Harmony Within, with a long subtitle. Harmony Within, a movie of living, surfing, and surviving in a natural form, one not of destruction and violence, but of peaceful harmony with nature.
Wow. I love that you have that rapid fire.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Well, it took us 3 years to make.
Okay.
We would drive from Texas to Costa Rica.
Wow.
And film, and it was our journey of looking for surf and looking for the meaning of life and all this stuff, edited into this 5-day journey, with it being the concept being, we're looking for a place that's going to make us happy, or the perfect wave that then will be happy. Oh, the waves are good here, it's beautiful, but the next place will be better, and we're searching. So we go on this journey, and the movie ends with my brother sitting in lotus on a hill. And this is not verbatim, but it's a quote from Swami Vivekananda, which is something like this. For whom you have been searching in churches and in temples, for whom you have been looking, far and near is the nearest of the near. It is the reality of your life, body, and soul. And we had theme songs and music and all, and then the theme song would play and all that.
Yeah.
Great. It took us 3 years to make this. We threw our hearts and souls into it, and it was a flop. Because surf people didn't like it. It wasn't enough of rock and roll music, girls in bikinis. They were fine when there were surfers, but when we show a bee fly into a flower and some sitar music, they'd be like, boo, boo. So it was a flop. And I'm back in Texas, broke. Now what are we going to do? David Williams and Nancy Gogoff had moved to Hawaii. I get a phone call. Hi, David. This is David. Nancy and I want to go to Mysore. We want to know if you want to come to Maui, take over all our classes for us. Sure. So, of course, right? So I Zoom over there. Yeah.
Okay.
So coming back to your question, what was the question?
Well, I have other questions for you now.
That spurred me into that little story.
Questions.
That was the background story.
Does this movie still exist? Like, can we watch this?
You know what?
Because I think society is ready now.
I think society is ready, but I'm putting this out there to your listeners or you. This would require a lot of work. It sat in a shoebox. It was filmed in Super 8 film. The soundtrack and movie are separate. It would require digitizing, editing, updating. So no, it's not on Netflix.
Okay, well, it needs to be.
Somebody want to throw themselves into this project? I'm open to talk about it. It'll be a lot of work and energy and time, but it'd be fun to revive it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a time capsule, too.
It's a time capsule.
Pilgrimage down to Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, filming along the way and trying to give a message. And we talk about yoga and diet and health and nutrition. And we were soul surfers, and how, our feeling was it connects you with nature. That's what I'm talking about. The goal for surfers is to get tubed. You go inside this water tunnel. It's like the place you want to be. This is what you dream of. And so we would show a bee fly into a flower, a surfer get tubed.
Oh, yeah.
A surfer come out of the tube, a bee come out of the flower.
It sounds like things I would totally watch nowadays on Reels
Yes.
and absolutely
You
love
would
every
totally
moment
watch
of it.
it today.
Yeah.
But this is going to require somebody to help me to rebuild this whole thing.
We're gonna make it come to life.
Okay.
I feel strongly about this.
So do you remember what your question was before?
No, I don't remember. That's the beautiful thing about this conversation. That's how I know it's a good conversation.
I ended up in Hawaii, to do this, and I don't remember why I told you the whole story about David. But there was a reason, but sorry, listeners, we lost the thread.
Yeah, you probably know, but really the thing that I'm super curious about through all of this is because we're talking about, why weren't you in the famous primary, filmed class? One. Yeah.
Okay.
So from there, I mean, you start to get, I assume because now, when we look up your bio and even when I was doing some additional research, it's like one of the foremost practitioners and teachers and this and that. Like, when did you realize that you were becoming an integral part of this practice? Or did you not realize that?
I still don't realize it. I just have lived my life. I'm doing my thing. And so what happened is after I ended up in Hawaii, all that, David and Nancy go off to India so he can learn the rest of the sequences. Depends how you count them, but there's a specific number of sequences, right? So David learned all those postures, came back. I went to India. So I learned every sequence of Ashtanga by 1977. So I went to India, learned the rest of it, including pranayama, came back, and I was a little bewildered by it all.
Yeah.
The philosophical understanding of Ashtanga, 8 limbs. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, 8 limbs. Yeah. Well, I was bewildered. I learned all these asanas, and first of all, there's this concept or perception in my brain. Well, after you get the last posture, something should happen, right? Like you've completed the sequence. Like, where's the bliss? Where's the samadhi, man? Like something should be. So I wrote Pattabhi Jois a letter. We called him Guruji, which basically is your way of giving respect to a teacher. You know? So some questions seem to have risen in my mind. Where are the 8 limbs? All we're doing is asanas and pranayama. What about the yamas, the niyamas, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi? Like, where's the bliss, man?
Yeah.
And would you mind answering some other things for me? Like, why are we here? What's the purpose of life? Who is God? Who am I? Sincerely, David. And I mail this letter. People don't even know what mail is anymore. You couldn't send something electronic, right? So I send a letter through the mail to India. I never get a response. So that propels me forward, feeling like I came to 2 conclusions, one of which was not maybe he didn't get the letter, which was the most likely thing, but one was he got the letter, he doesn't know the answers, I'm on my own. He got the letter, he knows the answers, he doesn't care about my questions, I'm on my own. So I go on a quest. I study palmistry, astrology, past life regression, sound, color, vibrations. I read St. Francis of Assisi things. I fasted. I ate nothing but grapes and grape juice for 40 days one time.
40 days?
40 days.
Wow.
It's called the Grape Cure, and it totally worked. I don't like grapes anymore. So
that's how you know it's good when the producer's laughing.
So I did this thing. Then I was kind of hungry after the grape solo diet thing, and there's a Hare Krishna temple in Houston, Texas. Free food. Price was right. Love Indian food. Tired of grapes. So I go there. Now, to get the free food, you have to listen to their talk, right? Their lecture and stuff. And I do. And I ask my questions, and they answer every one.
Wow.
And they back it up with scriptural writings and all this stuff. And there's people wearing traditional clothes. I'm like, this is a Vedic society right here in the downtown Houston, Texas, with the answers to all my questions. Either I'm a hypocrite and I don't want to know the answers, or I have to try this. I became a Hare Krishna. Wow. Shaved my head, joined the Hare Krishna army, and lived like that.
For how long?
5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. I lived like a monk. If I'm going to do something, I'm all in. Yeah, it's just my personality. I'm going to do it. So it was a life of celibacy. 2 hours a day I chanted on my beads. I studied scriptures. I'd get up in the wee hours of the morning, 1 bucket of cold water to bathe with. I traveled the world. I had a guru. I got Brahmin initiation. I wore a thread. I chanted Gayatri mantra 3 times a day. I helped open temples in the Philippines and Hong Kong and just dedicated myself to it. Yeah.
Why did you leave?
Well, let's see how I can describe this. So when you live in a temple community, and they were encouraging people to move into the temple at that time, well, it's expensive. First of all, we're trying to build a temple in Dallas, which is there now. It's beautiful, you know? But it's expensive. There's all these people living there. They need food. You've got to pay for all this stuff. So you got to make money. There's a couple different ways they try to make money. One is the Hare Krishna devotees would go out in their traditional Indian dress with men with shaved head and ponytails, women in a sari, and do the Hare Krishna two-step out on the street. Mm-hmm. Yeah, chanting, playing drums, and you see us and you go to the other side of the street. So this is not a good formula to make money because they're trying to give out books. Well, we're like people repellents. They don't want to. They don't want to approach us. So we had to come up with other business ideas. So we would sell things, artwork, and things not as Hare Krishnas, but we'd sell paintings that are made in Hong Kong. Ultimately, they match your sofa or whatever, and we'd travel. Mm-hmm. I'd go out on a van with 3 or 4 or 5 other guys for months at a time to all little towns throughout America, get dropped off on one side of town in the morning, picked up on the other side in the afternoon. I have to knock on every door trying to sell artwork with a wig on my head because I'm trying to not look like a Hare Krishna guy weird. And see my shaved head and little ponytail, which is sort of a red flag for the person in, Des Moines, Iowa, or whatever I'm trying to sell a painting to.
Yeah.
So that went on for 5 years, and other business things. They taught me to sell stuff, right, for 5 years. But it became more about how much money you made determined how spiritual you were.
Yeah.
Right? So we would still do the Hare Krishna two-step to raise funds. So I'm back in Houston visiting there once. And I'm out on the street doing my thing, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and everybody running away. This tiny woman comes walking up to us, straight up to us, and it's my mom. And I'm trying to give out books. I'm dressed in my Hare Krishna garb, my shaved head. Oh, honey, no one will take one of those from you. Give me one. Aww. And she takes a book and gives me $2. Okay, son, see you later. Bye, Mom, Hare Krishna. Later I hear she goes back to her work, right, at her job.
Yeah.
And her coworkers are like, did you see those freaks out there? And she says, that's my boy. So
bless her.
Bless her, yeah.
Wow.
My parents were both amazing. Anyway, I go back to the temple that day. I'm getting yelled and screamed at by the temple authorities because I didn't collect enough money. The more money you collect, the more spiritual you are, because if your heart were truly opened and surrendered to God, Lakshmi would smile upon you and the money would come. And so I'm like, there's something wrong with this picture.
Yeah.
My parents aren't wearing robes. They're not chanting, but they seem really spiritual. No matter what madness I do in my life, they look at me and say, we love you.
Yeah.
You're always welcome. And so I start questioning this whole thing. I'm like, I'm in this spiritual community, right?
Yeah.
Some people are nice, some are mean, some are egotistical, some are humble, some are spiritual, some are mundane. Seems like you have the same chance of growth out there on the streets of the world as within this religion, so I'm out of here.
Yes.
I'm a slow learner. That was 5 years.
Yes.
And I had renounced my asana practice too because they said it was illusion and maya and would attach me to my body.
So talk to me about going back then and doing your asana practice.
It felt great, like I came back home.
Can't imagine. Yeah. That must have been magical.
Now, I did start doing asanas again as a Hare Krishna, but it was when I was in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And I was like the bait on the end of a hook to get people into the temple. So I'd go to the beach in Hong Kong and do yoga postures. We even had a television show, to promote yoga, go to the China University and do lectures and things, but with asanas, because people will see that and come, and then they listen to the chanting and get an invitation to come to the temple. So I was doing asanas like that, but not on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So when I left the Hare Krishnas after 5 years, I was bewildered, and I was a little disappointed. I'm like, bah, humbug, spiritual quest. Ugh. I need some money, man. I've got zero. I gave it all to God. I didn't even get interest on that money, so I got to get a job. What am I cut out to do? I've been wearing robes. Prior to that, I was stretching my body and going to India and living in a treehouse in Hawaii. I mean, what's my resume?
Yeah.
And it dawns on me, talking to myself, David, you just graduated from the Hare Krishna School of Business.
Yeah.
If I can sell a Bhagavad Gita to a redneck in Dallas, Texas, I could sell anything.
Anything.
So I became an art dealer because I had sold art also. So I opened a gallery here in Austin, Texas.
Wow.
At Highland Park Mall.
Okay.
Yeah, a little gallery space, and became a businessman. Wore suits. Secretly, I'm doing yoga again, like in the closet, but I'm not wearing it on my sleeve or anything.
Yeah.
That went on for a while. Then I moved back to Hawaii because I like Hawaii.
Yes.
I got a job in an art gallery as an art salesman, and
Did you
saw
ever
Nancy
create art?
Gogoff again. Sorry?
Do you create art? Do you?
No, I'm not an artist, but I bow down to artists of all varieties, musicians, dancers.
Let's say you're an artist in the sense of the physical practice, but not necessarily in the medium of paint and drawing.
Maybe, but I've always respected art.
Yeah.
Any kind of art. Even the stuff your child will draw on a piece of, it's art to me.
Yeah.
So I got a job in a gallery selling art, and I go back to Nancy Gogoff's studio and see her again. And it had been, 12 years since I had seen Pattabhi Jois. And I'm back practicing in public. It feels great. Nancy and David, I could not see them for 10 years or 12 years, and the conversation just picks up. Hi, David, where you been? It just picks up.
The same.
And so I'm back in the room practicing, and Nancy brings Pattabhi Jois to Maui. It's 1989. I hadn't seen him since 1977 when I was in Mysore. And she brings me to him the first day. Guruji, look, it's David. He says, so many students. He doesn't remember me. It had been 12 years. I used to have that long, I had hair like yours. Yeah. Shawna has this beautiful long hair. I had hair
It's
like
not
that
so
down to
long
my
right now,
waist.
but-
Yeah. Blonde because I was a surfer. So I'd cut my hair. I looked different. I'm like, he doesn't remember me. That's fine. The next day we're practicing, and in Ashtanga there's a way where you're assisted to do back bends. You stand with your arms across your chest, and the teacher comes and catches your waist and helps you go up and down and up. Yeah.
Yep.
So he steps in front of me, touches my waist as I start to go back, and that moment of physical contact, he says, "Whoa, whoa, David Swenson." He remembers my body.
Wow.
And we do these back bends, and I come up, and now he looks like Santa.
Yeah.
He's looking me in the eyes. He says, "Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram." I say he looks like Santa, meaning his eyes were sparkling, his cheeks rosy, a big smile, and he
the happy
mimics,
eyes.
He mimics playing cymbals, kartals like this, and I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm doing the practice again.
Did you ask him about the letter?
It was a moot point.
Yeah.
By that, and what I did reflect on, like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
These kind of questions isn't somebody just writes the answers.
Yeah.
The answers have to come from our own pursuits and trial and error. Yeah. And I found answers to some of my questions, and I found peace in my heart with the unanswered ones, and came to the realization that answers are overrated.
Yeah.
The juice in life exists in the questions.
Yes.
In the quest, in the seeking, in the looking, in the finding. That's where the juice is. An answer should give birth to 3 new questions.
As it does.
So your question of why wasn't I in the film? I was doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
It's important
I was looking
stuff.
for the meaning of life,
Yeah.
and so I wasn't in the zone with all the other, my friends,
Yeah, you had to go and figure it out. And I think it's interesting because you explain a lot of these things that put you essentially on the fringe of society, and these things that were odd to people. And I also know that you've shared before that you made a conscious choice to not drink and to not smoke, and that you haven't. And I was curious, why? Is that something that you put specific thought behind?
It was only a conscious choice in that the people that were trying to get me to do it didn't inspire me to want to do it. Everybody around me was drinking, smoking pot, eating psychedelic mushrooms, dropping acid, doing everything. It was permeating the high school where I lived.
Yeah.
Come on, let's get Swenson high, man. Especially like the organic variety of alternative drug taking.
Yeah.
Those folks were into the organic stuff like psilocybin mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
You got to eat the shrooms, man. You know what I mean, man? The shrooms, they'll open your chakras, man, like an elevator. Pa, 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 your crown chakra will open, man, like a lotus flower, man. You'll be talking to God like the cosmos will just spill into you, man. You got to take the shrooms. And I'd look at them and I'd say, I truly believe that you truly believe that you had that experience. But I see you the next day, your life is just as messed up as it was the day before, and you look like you don't feel that great. So you know what? Yoga gets me high, man.
Yeah, yoga gets you high.
But I don't say I'll never do it.
Yeah.
I just decided, why do drugs in your early years when your synapses are all firing in your brain, you know? I think it should be the retirement home. When you're 85, they check your ID at the door. If you're under 85, nope, you can't enter. But people will be like, I'm going to the home, man, because the last few years of your life is just going to be a big raving party. You can be taking drugs anyway, like for high blood pressure and stuff.
Yeah,
You may as well throw
some
fun ones
in there.
That's right. So that'll be the retirement home.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I've always I've wondered, about that since you mentioned it, and it's shocking, I mean, I actually am the same way with drugs, and I don't say that I never will either, but I find it's rare to find other people who feel that way. And I think absolutely there's a place, it's no wrong or right answer, but it's interesting to hear your decision behind it. And then also for you to say, okay, the yoga gets me high,
But all my friends were doing it because they were
same.
the funnest people to be around.
Yeah.
I became the designated driver.
Yeah.
So I was the guy that got them home safely, right?
Yeah.
And I get to watch them getting stupid,
Uh-huh.
which they think it's really funny. When you're the person watching it, it's like, it's really not that funny.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to get us into a little bit about the teaching of the practice of Ashtanga. When did you decide that, okay, I want to organize information on this? I want to create the practice manual. What was that moment?
So teaching is something that happened. Mm-hmm. I didn't plan it. Mm-hmm. When people ask me, how do I know if I'm ready to be a teacher? I say, when you have students.
Yeah.
Someone one day asks you, hey, what are you doing? Yoga. Will you show me? Now you're a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So it happened like that. It evolved.
Yeah.
Then there was a moment where I decided I'm going to write a book. And that came after the videos, which I made the videos first and got all kind of trouble for that because that was frowned upon. Like you have to be in person. Now who can even understand this? Now everything's on social media, on your phone and filmed. But at the time it was not a thing. So I did that first, and then I came out with the book. And my idea was to give options and alternatives for postures, which was also frowned upon.
Yeah.
But it was this idea, I want to make this accessible. I think that we can stick with what this tradition is, but give some options. I had never used a computer.
Why did you want to do that? What drove you to that?
Because I saw that and still to this day, people, Ashtanga will get this reputation, oh, it's like the Marine Corps of yoga, man, it's too hard. And I go, but I've never met anyone can't do it. I've met people don't want to. That's another story.
Yeah.
But I've taught people in wheelchairs. I've taught people missing limbs. I've taught people that are unsighted, that can't hear, all kind of different people. And I'm like, this can be done by anyone. I'm going to show you how that can happen. And you maintain the structure and the flow and the tradition and everything by making it real because everyone's different. Mm-hmm. If you have a set of triplets in your class, they're all going to be a little different. Mm-hmm. So that came into my mind, and I created this book. Yeah, and it was an odd thing to do. And again, people frowned upon it. Now there's so many books and things out there, but it just came from that seed of thought. And I'm still self-published. I've never had a publisher with that book.
That's incredible.
And I think it's in the 35th printing. We've sold about 250,000 of them.
Yeah, congrats. So it's not surprising. I mean, one of them was me, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, because you signed up for, a training and what are they going to give you for an outline? Here you go, this really useful book laid out. Yeah. But what was that process like? People are kind of frowning on it. You're also including not only the widespread nature of creating a book, right? And you're also adding these short form practices in there. I mean, did you ever doubt yourself?
The short forms were added in the videos.
Okay.
And then they were acknowledged in the book.
In the book.
So they came first in the videos.
Okay.
First I made the primary series video, and then the second and third series video, and then I thought, short forms, people don't have enough time. However, I will say that Pattabhi Jois created the first short form. He said, minimum daily practice, 3 Surya Namaskara A, 3 B, and the final 3 postures of closing. That's 10 minutes. I'm like, well, he did that. I'm just going to take it another level. I won't say I've doubted myself. I've doubted if people will be interested in what I'm doing, but I've never doubted the process that I needed to do it. It was something I feel inside, and I'm just that way. If there's something I feel I need to do, I'm going to do it without the thought of, will it be successful, or how will people receive it? I'm going to create these things. I believe it's valuable. And so I made 3, the 15-minute, the 30-minute, the 45-minute routine. And then started hearing it. Wow, thank you so much. Because I was like, sure, if you don't have a job and you've got all this time on your hands, sure, you can dedicate a lot of time to yoga.
Yeah.
But that's not reality for most people. If you have an actual job or a life, friends, other activities you like to do, well, you can still do this, and here's a way to do it. Fit it in where you can. And so that was the concept behind it. Yeah.
What do you feel is the heart or the essence of Ashtanga Yoga? Breath. What have you really learned about the breath?
And this is the thing that is interesting. There's a lot of paradoxes in yoga, and maybe I'll write a book about that sometime. But looking in the window at a class of people doing Ashtanga, look at that gymnastics class. There's a bunch of flexy people in there doing this weird stuff. Yeah. The paradoxical nature of it is that we do all of this physical stuff with the ultimate aim being to understand that we are not this physical stuff. And that's interesting, right? So breath is the fulcrum. If you take away the breath focus, is it different than gymnastics?
Could be anything.
It could be anything, right? But when you bring breath in as the fulcrum, it becomes a meditation in motion. It becomes the point we come back to. It energizes the body. It calms the mind. And you might say, well, why do all the yoga postures? Great, you can achieve it with just the breath too. It's a system. I believe in it. I think it works, but it's not the only system. Yeah, people do whatever you need to do. But by adding the breath, you'll feel better. You'll get a better result. And then you can even apply that in your life. Just, you're feeling stressed, take a few breaths. Like you began this discussion, let's take a breath.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it feels so nice to do that. What do you feel like you've really learned to be true about the breath after all these years? You know, if the breath is the essence of the practice that has been with you through all of it, through the surfing trip, through the times that you spent as a Hare Krishna, through all of it. What have you really learned about the breath and to be true about the breath?
Breath has been with all of us from the moment we're born.
Yeah.
It's profound. Think about this. We, each and every one of us, are one breath away from death. You'll say, oh, that's silly, David. Watch. I didn't die. And I go, oh, but don't take the next one.
Yeah.
Think about it. We enter the world with an inhale. We depart with an exhale. Life is one breath. Inhale in the beginning, exhale in the end, and some details in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a saying in yoga, the mind is more difficult to control than the wind. However, if we can control our breath, we can control our mind.
I love that.
And if you see the reaction of breath responding to an emotional state, angry, sad, frightened, without knowing about yoga, we might look at these people and say, just take a few deep breaths. Calm down. You know, I know you're nervous. I know you're frightened. We know inherently that simple act has a profound effect.
Yes.
You take that to another level and consciously breathe in and out during your practice and combining it with the physicality. It's like the yin and yang symbol.
Yeah.
The asanas themselves represent everything we can see, the physical, mechanical aspects of yoga. Breath represents everything we cannot see, the internal, invisible, energetic aspects of practice. We want to combine both because we are both of those things. We're a spiritual, energetic being in a physical vehicle. Yeah? So we're acknowledging both of those things. The word hatha yoga, hatha, sun and moon, opposite things, day and night, yoga, union. So this is a way to balance those two things, to create a union between the internal and external. And breath is the fulcrum, but because we have a physical body, we accentuate it with that other facet.
Yeah.
To create the balance.
Yeah, that gives me chills. Yeah, that's really, really awesome and crazy to think about. I would love the book on the paradox of it all too. I think everything is a paradox, but we'll leave that rabbit hole for another time. But yes. I want to hear too a little bit about your book that you have coming up, and it is called Only Dead Fish Go with the Flow. Am I remembering
got it?
Okay.
Yes. And I know when people hear the title, Only Dead Fish Go with the Flow, someone's like, well, wait a minute, that's not true. And they start trying to think of fish, that don't die, that aren't dead, that are
going with the flow.
Look, it's meant to get your attention, but think of it as a salmon. Life is that, swimming upstream. Yeah. You can't go with the flow, dude. That salmon's getting up back in the ocean and not achieve their goal and, lay their eggs and continue the salmon race. It's like, so Only Dead Fish Go with the Flow with a very long subtitle, just like our surfing movie had a long subtitle, right?
And that is?
Only Dead Fish Go with the Flow. My fantastic, sometimes clumsy, often humorous, occasionally frightening, always sincere, and possibly inspiring tales of living life in pursuit of my dreams.
The best subtitles.
It's a long one. It's a book in itself.
Are you excited?
I'm a little excited. It's been like 4 years now I've been working on it because I started it during COVID, and now this is almost 2025.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's been a few years. I'm just trying to bring it across the finish line. It won't be a secret. I'll put it out there for the world.
Cool.
And it's my memoir, starting from the day of my birth up until the year 2002.
Okay.
And there's a reason for that, which you'll discover in the book.
Secret. Okay. Surprise.
It's slightly secret.
Okay.
But if we have time, I'll read you the first chapter. So I'm going to read you the first chapter of the book. As a reader, I like short chapters, so I've done that with my book. Chapters can be 1 page or 3 pages because it's satisfying, gratifying as a reader to be like, I'll read a couple chapters, which is like 5 pages, and you feel success. So they're silly, kind of fun titles. The title of the first chapter is Aliens Exist. Aliens exist. I should know, since I am one myself, or at least I have felt like one for most of my life. I've always had the sense that I wasn't meant for this world. From a young age, I never thought I belonged here on Earth. Maybe there was a mistake in the celestial paperwork that landed me here. I grew up in Texas, where sports are religion, guns are accessories, politics are red, minds are set, and being different is discouraged. I always swam against that current of perceived norms, which at times hasn't been an easy task. As a result, I've discovered things upstream I may never have found if I'd simply gone with the flow and followed the crowd. I've come to love my life with all its crazy twists, turns, dead ends, epiphanies, quests, struggles, successes, failures, joys, and sorrows. So maybe I was born on the correct planet after all. Maybe we all feel like alien visitors passing through, trying to find our way. Perhaps you'll discover encouragement in my story to pursue your unique path and to take chances that will allow you to uncover the magic and profound potential upstream that far exceeds your expectations. I hope you're at least entertained by my clumsy yet enthusiastic attempts to seek deeper meaning in a bewildering world.
I can't wait to read it.
I can't wait for you to read it too, because it'll mean it's done.
Yeah.
It's out there in the world.
True. What do you feel like, if anything, about the book feels vulnerable? Because this is a memoir. I mean, this is you telling all of your story, essentially.
I'll tell you, when writing it,
Yeah.
times I laughed out loud, times I had tears rolling down my face as I was typing. Reliving these moments, it's intense. And trying to view my life as though someone else was looking at it.
Yeah.
Which is virtually impossible because our view of things are colored by our having lived it, right? But it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
And people that know me, and I've let a few other people read it here and there to help editing and give me feedback and so forth. And one dear friend of mine read it and was giving some feedback and some edits. And her daughter also does yoga and has been to some of my trainings and stuff. And I can be funny or have this reputation. Oh, David's funny, and
funnier in person.
In person, yes. And actually, I've even got, just as a side note, sometimes I get this reputation. Oh, David, yeah, he's the funny guy. But I'm like, but it's almost presented as though it can't be valuable or serious.
Yeah.
I say, but I think you can have
both
valuable, deep information delivered in a fun manner.
Yes.
Sometimes we think if something's really valuable, it has to be severe and harsh and frightening, right?
Yeah.
Like a little,
Yeah.
Yeah. So at any rate, her daughter hears that she's read the book. Oh my God, Mom, you're reading David's work. Your face must just be hurting from laughing so much. And she said, no, it's not really that funny. Now, there are moments that are humorous, but my life, there's moments that, were sad.
Yeah.
Bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
And I tell those stories as well because it gives perspective. Sometimes going through these horrible things is what allows you to come out the other side, and you realize humor is what gets us through sometimes.
It does.
It doesn't mean we don't acknowledge what happened, but there's learning from those things, and it's easier to look back and see the lessons learned and the value of it. But in those moments, it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
It's horrible,
Yeah.
right? And we can't see beyond the mess. Yeah. And I guess one of the essences of the book, and maybe this is a good place we can wrap it up, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever done gardening?
Yes.
Okay. So gardening, you till the soil. What is something that is great to put in your compost that makes it really rich?
Yes.
Poop.
Yes.
You put poop in there.
Literal poop.
When life gives you poop, make compost. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're all going to get the shit.
Yeah.
Right? But if you use it right, it becomes fertile ground for growth.
Yep. And out of the compost grows something
Out
truly.
of that compost grows something even greater and more magnificent than had that crap not been in there.
Yeah.
But it's hard to see in the moment. But once it's there, you may as well find a way to use it, right? You don't have to seek it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when life throws this stuff at us, you make compost.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good one. Before we get to the billboard question, which I suspect you may use that quote for the billboard, but I don't want to speak too soon. I also want to ask you a question that I ask everybody, which is, in your opinion, what makes an exceptional leader or an exceptional teacher? What are qualities of an exceptional leader?
My belief about teaching is this. A teacher's duty is to encourage and to inspire and to facilitate practice. That's it. In yoga, the real guru is the practice itself. It's not a person. The moment we make it a person, it becomes a problem for that person and for the follower. When we make it about the practice, you have freedom. You develop your own relationship with this and your own questions. However, this is difficult. Why do dogmatic and gregarious religious and political leaders get so many followers? Because you don't have to think.
Yeah.
When someone is so convinced about what they're saying, you're like, wow, they're saying that with such conviction, it must be true. I'm just going to follow what they say.
Yeah.
Which is much easier than having to take personal responsibility for my actions and my life and everything that I do, yeah?
That's really true.
And yoga is meant to be an avenue to create independence. The greatest teachers of all, good teachers create thinking students. The greatest teachers of all create students that don't need them anymore.
Yeah.
So rather than fostering dependence, codependence, a good leader, a good teacher creates independence. Rather than creating followers, you create thinkers. You create people that can stand on their own 2 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And then so the goal as a teacher is to encourage that relationship between the student and their practice. And then a greater goal for us that practice yoga or to do your yoga practice is then go outside, walk out that door, and make the world a better place.
Yep.
We have to be careful it just doesn't become an incredibly selfish pursuit. Mm-hmm. I want this, I want that, I want more flexibility, I want. Now, we need to feel good in our body and our skin in order to have energy, so that's not a bad thing. But I've heard sometimes this concept of you do your yoga and then you just like place your body in some cotton box the rest of the day. Very careful, Sue. Don't disturb my prana, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, man?
Yeah.
You're harsh in my mellow. You know, it's not like that beautiful car that sits in the garage and you polish it on Sundays. Mm-hmm. That car that's beat up because it's been out there delivering food to people and getting you down the road and doing good work. A well-lived life, our body's going to be duct taped together by the end of it. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So do our yoga, get some good juice in there, and make the world a better place. And it doesn't have to be dramatic things.
Yeah.
Maybe we're a little more patient with a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. You become more aware of the world. You share a smile. Yeah. You help someone across the road. You open a door for someone. Small acts of compassion and kindness have a ripple effect.
Yes.
And yoga is just one way to do this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But because we're talking about yoga, I think it's a beautiful tool. Yep. And it's accessible for anyone that wants to do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good answer as well. I want to ask you the very final question now, which is the billboard question. And so the idea is that if you had a billboard that was going to be seen by everybody in the world, what would you put on your billboard?
Be a little kinder to each other.
Beautiful. Be a little kinder to each other.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shawna.
This was
a
fantastic conversation. If you want to let people know where they can find you and where they can get your book.
No, I'm hiding. That's why I'm traveling all the time.
Where they can find you on the travel.
Yes. I have a website, ashtanga.net. That's www.ashtanga.net. Ashtanga.net. That's. I have to look on there to figure out where I'm supposed to be. I am cutting back on my travels. It used to just be 300 days a year on the road. Now I'm cutting back much more.
Okay.
But I look forward to seeing you again. I look forward to seeing all of you somewhere down the road. And I hope you enjoy the book whenever it comes out.
We certainly will. If you enjoyed this episode of the Leadership in Yoga podcast, please take a moment to drop me a rating and subscribe. Also, if you're able to share this podcast with the world, it is greatly appreciated. Thank you.